Games like Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes put reviewers in a very difficult situation. Since the game's reintroduction after the announcement of Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, the title has been shrouded in controversy over its length, difficulty, and radical changes in creative direction from previous games. Does the game rise above all the concerns? Well, unfortunately, it gets dragged down by the sheer weight of its title and all that entails. It's a shame, really, because the core experience is solid, pun not intended. Ground Zeroes is best described as being the tanker level of Metal Gear Solid 5, designed to bridge the events of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker to Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. Ground Zeroes takes place shortly after Peace Walker and gives players control of Naked Snake on the mission to save two young characters from the previous game, Chico and Paz. If you have yet to play Peace Walker, I strongly recommend that you do that one before you dive into Ground Zeroes. But if you're still anxious to get into Ground Zeroes first, or if it's been a while since you beat Peace Walker, the game thankfully gives you some different ways to get up to speed with the story, ranging from text recaps to audio dialogues you can have playing in the background as you play through the game. Speaking of story, Kojima Productions has tried experimenting with different forms of presentation for this particular game, putting more focus on the gameplay than the plot. While there are still some beautiful cutscenes that are done in a style similar to last year's Gravity by limiting the visible cuts, the bulk of the narrative is told through the previously mentioned audio tapes, allowing for the narrative to be told seamlessly without interrupting the action. This also means the iconic codec calls are nowhere to be found, will likely also be absent for the upcoming Phantom Pain. What story that is here is standard Metal Gear fare, falling more in line with Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, but with a much darker side. Metal Gear Solid 5 as a whole is meant to show the end of Snake's transformation into the legendary Big Boss, the antagonist figure for the series as a whole. While the series has dealt with some heavy subject matter in the past, this is the first time I can say that without a doubt the game has earned its hard M rating. The game deals with some of its very difficult subject matter with maturity intact, with perhaps the exception of one major event at the end of the game. It's a major story spoiler, and it's one that's been discussed at length on the web, but what is implied is easily one of the most disgusting actions to be featured in a AAA game, and I'm not honestly sure if Metal Gear fans were prepared for it. While I feel that it may not have been the best choice for MGS, Kojima did present it in a way that does not overstep the bounds of taste, so props to him for taking the risk. While story is one of game director Hideo Kojima's strengths, this time around it's taken a backseat to the gameplay. This is a welcome breath of fresh air after the cutscene-heavy Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, and the extra time spent refining the gameplay really shows. The controls are tighter than they've ever been, giving us smooth shooting mechanics and full control over Snake. The only real issue is with the default controls mapping CQC to the right trigger, but that may just simply be the complaints of an old-school gamer who prefers his melee combat on the face buttons. The combat and stealth systems have received a major overhaul, changing how the game is played and providing additional freedom in how you approach the scenarios. The radar has been completely removed in favor of a marker system that allows you to keep track of enemies on the map. While this can make the game a tad easier, there is an option to shut it off and have an experience closer to Metal Gear Solid 3. Another change is the implementation of the reflex system. When you're spotted in a Metal Gear game, you have had a very short window to recover and eliminate the enemy. In order to give gamers a better chance of taking them down, the game enters a slow-mo mode and gives you a little bit more time to make sure your bullets hit the mark in time. Both of these modes are completely optional and can be turned off in the options menu. The game will reward players that forgo the new mechanics in the final rating of the mission, so keep that in mind if you're gunning for achievements and trophies. Visually, this is the best Metal Gear has ever looked, showing off Kojima Productions' Fox Engine. The game truly looks and feels like a fully interactive game set inside the world of celluloid. There's no doubt that this is thanks to Lions's excellent emulation of high-definition camera sensors. It results in a visual feat that looks great on both current and next-gen consoles. And as you'd expect, the next-gen versions utilize the extra power of the consoles, running at a crisp 60 FPS. It's a preferred way to play. If you're like me though and have yet to get a next-gen console, the current gen still gets the most out of the 7 to 8-year-old hardware and shows that Kojima Productions has some major technical and artistic chops. Audio is excellent in almost all marks, with an excellent score and more powerful sound effects to bring the world to life. Where Ground Zeroes fails to hit the mark is with the controversial recasting of our hero Naked Snake. David Hayter, the man that provided both Naked and Solid Snake with the voices in English since the release of Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation in 1999, has been replaced with Kiefer Sutherland, the 24th Fang. While Kojima said that was facial capture as the primary reason for this, the fact is that the rest of the Metal Gear Solid cast returns in their respective roles, creating a major tone clash between them and Kiefer, whose more subtle performance really doesn't fit. As a result, it feels like he's simply phoning in the performance to get his paycheck. It also doesn't help that Snake doesn't talk much in the game thanks to the general lack of story.
I wanted Snake to have a more subdued performance, expressed through subtle facial movements and tone of voice rather than words.
She survived. So what's the plan? Silence her before we're compromised? Black site. Nice. A slice of American pie on communist soil, and out of U.S. legal jurisdiction. The UN's nuclear inspection. We're an army without a nation. She knows their true nature.
They played us like a damn fiddle! Give it back!
While these issues are valid, they are only minor gripes in what should be an overall solid experience. The issue is that Ground Zeroes has a major Achilles heel: its length. The main mission can be completed in less than an hour and has been speed run in less than 10 minutes. The rest of the missions clock in around 30 minutes, meaning you can easily complete the missions in an afternoon. While there's a good amount of bonus content to keep long-term fans interested, those that are not connected to the franchise will most likely be done with the game once they finish the platform-exclusive missions. It's a shame that the amount of content in Ground Zeroes is so little, because the core gameplay is some of the best we've seen this generation. I've had a blast with Ground Zeroes, and it does have a lot of modes that make it more accessible to newcomers, but its light narrative, reliance on Peace Walker's plot, the lack of length really makes it a hard sell to those that haven't played Metal Gear Solid before. If you're interested in the series, allow me to point you towards the Metal Gear Solid Legacy and HD collections instead. You'll be better off starting there. Ground Zeroes unfortunately feels like a demo being sold to core Metal Gear Solid fans, and for those such as myself, it may have been worth it, but this doesn't change the fact that it could have and should have been a more complete experience. I'd even settle for new missions as DLC. But alas, what we have is what we have. And as such, I have to unfortunately give Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes a 7 out of 10. That being said, my interest in the Phantom Pain has gone up significantly, so keep your ear to the ground for that one. It looks like it's gonna deliver.
Take back everything that we've lost.
Cause I'm already a demon.